Hello, it's Paul from Mode 7 here again with more Frozen Synapse 2. Thank you very much for your contributions yesterday. A lot of comments about fog zones, which I shall deal with in a minute. But here I am just testing one of Robin's new levels. Again, I haven't played this before, so we shall just see what this is like. We're trying to make early levels at the moment. I think we've got through that process currently, and then we'll be moving on to making sort of bigger, meatier levels later, so you'll get a much better feeling of what everything is like. Now, let us just talk briefly about fog zones. So there was definitely a big reaction to this yesterday. I think the main problem that people had with it was just the idea that it should just be doors. So to clarify, you can't see into this area. Units cannot fire into or out of it. And you currently unlock it by going to one of these zones and ending your turn there, and then it will be unlocked. Now, I think one of the problems with this is that this association with it being about doors. It's not really about doors at all. These zones just happen to be here because they're on the way into the building. So Ian and I have been discussing this today. What we're going to do is change this slightly so that fog zones are going to represent what they were really supposed to be, which is an area where your surveillance is kind of jammed. So it's not really related to your units being able to see anything. Imagine some kind of tech thing where their vision was blocked in that particular area. It's meant to be just an area that you can't interact with until you unlock it, hence the unlock zones. So the plan that we have basically is to make something which removes the windows and removes the doors. So it's just an area where you can't go into it. This won't bring up any associations with sort of, are you peering around the door, are you doing whatever. It will look different from this. We'll have a zone which is kind of like a hack panel, and your unit will go there and hack into the security system, and then it will remove the fog zone, and we'll have graphics that kind of represent this a bit better. This will take away any confusion about, well, why can't I just see in the windows, why can't I just go through the door, and so on. The reason that we need to do that and we can't make them doors, and there are several reasons for this. One is that it needs to be an arbitrary area. It can't just be a single room. On some levels we want to have fog zones that cover like part of the level, that cover places that your units couldn't specifically see at that time. It would be really weird if it was based on doors. You open the door and then you could see everything, even parts that were occluded from your position. So in order to make this clear, we're just going to have it as sections of the level which are under this kind of cloaking surveillance situation, and remove all of this association with the geometry. Now, in terms of people's criticisms about whether or not this makes for good gameplay, I think that's really about level design and about how we're using it. And we're just figuring that out at the moment. So yes, in some situations, the pacing is going to be a little bit slow. And in some situations, it's just not going to work very well. This is still sort of fairly early into the journey of finalizing these levels. So I'm just going to do a long turn here. I think I'm going to be able to evade this patrol. Though it does appear that the patrol is carrying something, which is kind of interesting. Not quite sure what that's about. So we'll get here and unlock. We ended our turn at an opportune moment there. There was also a unit moving around, so let's just see if I can catch them at the end of the turn. One issue with long turns actually is that you kind of want to skip to the end if you miss something, so we might have to deal with that. That red zone is just a bug, please ignore it. Okay, so that unit just ran into there, into this room where the relic is. So you can see here that we've kind of divided this up. Again, this is sort of room specific, but in other situations it might not be room specific, so there might be a fog zone there or whatever. There are too many of these zones around as well. It looks really bad at the moment, and that will just need some work. I think we're going to have a much more subtle thing, probably sort of maybe where this one is, kind of, you might have something around the wall area and you might have something on the ground here. To make that look a bit more techy. Now I'm intrigued by what this unit is carrying, so I'm going to take them out first, and I'm also going to just set up and do a bit of surveillance there. I shall prime my turn. What I'm hoping to be able to do today is answer some of your questions in these AI gaps, if we have any long AI gaps, so I shall try and optimize. Okay, that's pretty much a straight fight that I'm going to win, so that's nice. Can we see? Oh, great. Okay, so that's some money that was being carried by that unit. So I can go and pick that up, or I will automatically pick it up at the end of the level. So we're just starting to experiment with putting items around the place and having units carrying money. That's pretty cool. I kind of like that idea. There will also be locations where money and different things are stored. So that's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'll just cancel the aim here. Cancel that aim. And also cancel the aim here. I'm going to bring this unit in here. Aim at the door while this unit unlocks the room. Let's try that. Now, Robin likes putting ambushes in his levels, and we've been trying to get him to tone it down a little bit because these are meant to be very easy early levels. Let's see how we get on. Oh, yes, covering that was wise. Some placeholder text from Robin there. Now, I did get surprised, but that's fine. And I think if we're training the player to expect some of these surprises, that's okay. We should still win this, yeah, because it's a very weak unit, so that's fine. While that's being dealt with there, I will go in and pick up the item. Let's try that. This seems pretty nice to me. There were some comments about the slowness of levels with long turns, and again, that's something that we want to deal with. I think if there's kind of a minimal force around patrolling around, you'll be able to do a long turn that will take you sort of either right from the edge into the building or kind of right around a large section of the level. So again, we want you to be thinking about that. That is a ridiculously overpowered ambush that I will get Robin to take out. But that is extremely silly. So let's see if we can hypothetically deal with that. This kind of thing I feel is a bit too gimmicky. I want to have this kind of thing happening, but I also want there to be a bit more standardized gameplay. So I think what I'm going to get him to do for this level is just have a bit of a rethink about. Okay, I didn't select the right turn because I'm a moron. Is get him to have a bit of a think about creating an area where you can do a bit more planning rather than having units kind of coming out at you. That feels like something where you're going to need to really be careful with that. It's kind of the salt of level design is that kind of thing. Alrighty. Okay. So this is just the turn where I took out this unit. That's fine. So what we did before worked reasonably well. So I shall, instead of that, come in here, aim there, wait a little bit, and then aim over there. Let's see if that works. So, yeah, people saying they don't know about the Fog of War. It does work in specific situations. One question from Mayo, is the city game mode roguelike? No, it's not really roguelike. It's more a kind of standard, you know, macro type of game in a strategy game. A lot of strategy games have world maps. So, I need to aim over here and over here, and I think we'll do reasonably well if that's the case, although that character is not aiming, which is rather annoying. I think we need to ignore there. Yeah, this is way too complicated for a first level. I have no idea what he was thinking. So that's fine. Let's see if that allows us to take out these onrushing units. Kendrick says, having level-only mercenaries to pick up might feel a bit cheap. Yeah, I agree with that, actually. So this was the idea that in some situations, what you would be able to do is nearly got done by that Uzi guy there as well. In some situations, you might be able to find units in the sort of rooms around here that you could pick up and then use just for that level. I don't think we're going to be using that a lot. We might do, but I think it'd be quite fun, especially if you're kind of liberating, you know, captured units or whatever. That might be interesting. We'll probably use that one sparingly. I mean, again, having all these units rush out is really not what I'm after. So we will take a look at that later on. Hopefully that's the end to all of this crazy onrushing unit madness, and we'll be able to take a little bit of a look at the rest of the level when we get there. Yes, okay, those units are not great. So I think what I'll do now, I shall cancel the aim, I'll go in and pick up this. Now, let me just talk about something at the moment. So we are really experimenting with showing new stuff. So there's a lot going on in this level that I don't think is working. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong here. We're still trying to test out and map out this stuff. So I am reacting to it at the same time you will be. So if you want to say like, oh no, this is terrible, there's too many ambushes and stuff, just be aware that like this is not what the final game is going to be like. We are normally so careful about what we show, and actually I think it's been really interesting and helpful to show you stuff earlier on. Okay, so there's some hostages in there. That's interesting. We might be able to rescue them as well. So what I could do, as this is an early level, my expectation would be that I would go in and take the relic and come out. If I feel confident and I feel that I want to explore, then I should be allowed to do that as well. So this is an element, really like what Robin's done here, of just kind of creating some specific stuff, and you'd get a heads up on this in the mission description as well. So I'm just going to see if I can take them out. Now I can sort of say that I've basically done the level to a reasonable degree, and I'm just going to check out what is around in the other rooms. So the reason that I am not so good at the game, I'm not the game's designer, that's Ian, and I'm not the game's level designer. I tend to stay, as much as I can, a little bit detached from stuff so I can come in and give the perspective of a player generally who is not very good. Okay, so what's happened there is that we have killed the last unit. We could end the mission now, should we want to. Oh, interesting, and that has caused it to break somewhat, so we can't look in that room just yet. That's fine, that's not a problem. Right, we're going to move on and look at another level in 1 second. Right, hello, yes, in fact we're not going to be doing that. I'm going to be getting to your questions. Now, as I was making this video, Ian's been playing around with the fog zones and slightly changing some of the stuff that we're doing with them, so what we'll do is we'll keep working on that and then get something to show you soon that we'll be experimenting with, and we'll just take it from there. So all your fog zone input and questions, thank you very much. I won't be responding to any of those directly, but I will just have a look through for some other things. Quick bit of housekeeping, there were some lag issues with the video last time. I think that was just for bitrate under 1080p. That was YouTube's fault, not mine. It's complain at them. Blue Tag 9009 mentioned this idea of there's not enough going on in the levels, that it takes a long time to move around them. Again, long turns is the thing that mitigates that. If we do use larger levels, there will be stuff going on. Generally, these early levels, we're going to be shortening them. Stuff will be near the entrance. You'll be using a smaller part of the level, or they'll be on smaller levels. So when we do get to the point of the player doing longer levels, there will be meaningful content in them. Fog zones, pacing's too slow. Yeah, again, same issue. Transition between city and building is important. It's good that we see the playground, I guess play area already while it's zooming down. Thank you, Tortuosit of Tapiola. I hope I said that correctly. That's nice. Yeah, that transition was really important and quite a technical feat from Ian. I don't like prime, are you sure, in progress outcome. Yeah, if we can make that flow a bit better, then we will. It's something that I want to look at. We may not be able to restart at selected turns. Again, something that we're going to be working on and trying to figure out sort of as we go. Thanks, Rachel, for your comments. Those vans that seem to be full height but are actually half height, I'll definitely look at that. That's weird. Micah Klein, thank you for asking the question. Really appreciate all of this stuff. Sorry today's video was a bit sketchy and all over the place, but we are experimenting with things at the moment. Also, my audio kept cutting out. I've got to try and improve the audio. I'm using this thing.